everybody, and welcome back to Tales of Wanderlust. I'm Cass, this is Jasper, and Chris and Aaron of Irene Iron Travels are joining us today to give us a tour of their brand new travel trailer, and then also give us a little bit of the pros and cons of traveling this style versus in an Airstream van. So if you want to hear the differences, stay tuned. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today, Chris and Aaron are going to walk us through what they like and they don't like about their new setup. So they've transitioned from an Airstream Interstate, which is a small van, into this larger RV. Very different styles of travel, pros and cons to everything, and we're going to touch on some of the top ones today. So with that, let's get into the top 5 things they like about this new RV.
So this is a 2022 outdoors RV, and it's a 22 FQS. And one of the first things that brought us to it was the overall layout. That's what we were looking for, to change from the small Sprinter van into a larger space. So this 26-foot trailer gave us almost everything we were looking for. And the biggest thing I think that Chris loved was the big kitchen right behind us.
Yes, it has a ginormous counter space, which is really rare to find in a shorter trailer. I joke and I call this a schmedium trailer because it's not quite small, it's not quite medium, somewhere in between, but the kitchen is really unique for the size that it is. And we have this big sink with a little tray in it. It keeps the scuzzy stuff on the bottom, so if I'm washing dishes or something gross, you can drip dry over here.
Yeah.
And then you can still use your sink over here and you don't have to worry about the water getting onto what you just washed. I love having an oven, the microwave I was used to having, but the big improvement for us was the refrigerator. It's an 8 cubic foot, and I even have a freezer, which is amazing. So for me to have that, that's awesome. Also in the layout, we both really enjoy having a dry bath because we did come from a wet bath in the van. So having a dry bath was one of our must-haves.
Yeah.
So we were able to get the big kitchen, the dry bath, the big fridge.
The walk-around queen bed was a big deal. We used to have to convert our bed twice a day, in the morning and at night, in the van, in the back. It was a nice big bed, but it was not fun doing it every day. So the permanent walk-around bed was a huge deal.
Yeah, and then finally having the big slide out that has our dinette table. And we sit in that table all day long. We work there, we eat there, and we also lounge there. So if we're on date night playing cards or something, we use it for everything.
Please do not send me emails during the day.
Could we have a meeting about this right now?
So the next thing that we love about our rig is the overall build quality and robustness of this outdoors RV. So the gross vehicle weight is 9,995 pounds, which is pretty big for a 26-foot trailer. I think it's one of their smallest ones that they put on that big frame like that, which is an 8-inch I-beam frame. The axles down below are 5,200 pounds, and it has 16-inch wheels, so it has lots of big ground clearance, and it just goes really well for our boondocking lifestyle that we like.
And we wanted something that we could tow and not be worried about taking it off pavement, which was one of the reasons why we did decide to leave the Airstream family and get something that was a little more rugged.
So a couple other things on the outside here. It does have a automatic electronic auto level, so it actually picks up and levels the RV, which is kind of unique to travel trailers. Outdoors RV does pretty good on their 4-season capabilities. So the walls are 2 inches thick with good styrofoam. They put a big 35,000 BTU furnace in there, which is huge. Also, there is dual pane windows.
So while we don't plan to travel anywhere cold, we are from Minnesota originally, and we have no intentions to go back there in any month other than June, July, or August. It is really nice to have the 4-season insulation, even for extreme heat and in the desert in the winter, the nights get down into the 30s. Yeah. So it's really nice just for being even south where we are, but it is a good peace of mind where if we did have any emergency we needed to go home for, we could travel there in this trailer.
It did come with a MORride CRE 3000 suspension as well as KYB shocks. which definitely helps on some of these bumpy roads.
So when you go down bumpy roads, do you find things thrown around in there, or is it pretty...
We have not
We've
yet.
never had our innards shaken loose before.
But
And we're very meticulous though when we pack up. Everything's put away and packed pretty nicely.
We're like the new parents that are like bundling up their kid. So we're like binding all of the cabinets and like zip ties, and we're going a little overboard, but we just don't want to come into that mess where the drawer is ripped out and who knows what kind of damage could happen.
So we'll be back in a year for a follow-up question.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really does handle very well on roads so far. Nothing moves at all in there, so it's pretty good.
The number 3 thing that we love about our new travel trailer is the tank sizes. We have 70 gallons of fresh water, 40-gallon gray tank, 40-gallon black tank, plus the 10-gallon water heater space. And when you're out boondocking, this really is perfect for us. With 2 people, we drink a ton of water, we're peeing a lot, and we can manage to be out for up to 12 days without doing anything crazy. And when I say crazy, I mean like watering cactuses and using other people's toilets as a supplement. When we were in the van, we had to pee outside all the time in order to last a full week. If we were to use the van the same way that we use this toilet, it would only have lasted 3 days. So now we can shower quite often, we can do more dishes, we can use less paper products, and we just have the comfort of not having that anxiety of tank capacity. When we were doing the black tank video, we were peeing outside all the time. And I have a famous joke about a red Solo cup, because when we were boondocking near neighbors, I would go number 1 in private in my red Solo cup, and then I would dump it outside. And that was something that I did as a lady just so that I didn't feel exposed out there. So now the red Solo cup is dead. We just use our toilet like regular people. RV life, sometimes things get weird, and when the talk of black tank and poop and pee comes up, you never know what you're going to hear.
It only took to point 3 to get to that talk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pipe in and say our dream sizes on the tanks, just for fun, I'd want 100 gallons fresh, 50 gray, 50 black. That would really put us into the 2 weeks, no problem.
Yeah, that's true.
Those would be like our perfect sizes if we could just have them.
It'd be nice if a manufacturer would really push those limits.
Yeah, 100, 100, 100 would be cool too. All right, the number 4 thing we love about our new rig is the space to put a large electrical system. Now, we did have lithium and solar in our van, but we did not have anywhere near the space to put what we have in here. So we're looking at 810 amp hours of Battleborn lithium batteries, along with a Victron Multiplus 3000 inverter, which is in the pass-through behind the wall right there. And then up on the roof is 1200 watts of solar. And just in comparison to the van, we had 400 amp hours of lithium and 300 amp hours of solar.
So what can you do with this system that you couldn't do with the other system?
The system's absolutely insane. We're able to use so many great appliances, and I'll let Chris talk about some of those things in the kitchen because she absolutely loves it.
Yeah, well, Erin is the brain behind our electrical system. I'm the master in using our electrical system, and it makes our daily life so much more comfortable. Not only do we not think about basic things like the lights, charging our laptops, charging our cameras. These are all things that we used to stress about in the van. But now we can also add in an air fryer. I use it at least once a day, sometimes up to 5 times a day. Call me crazy. In addition to that, we use our microwave once in a while. I do use a vacuum in here because there is some carpet and it gets really dirty out here in these dusty areas. I use my hair dryer and I use my induction oven, and we heat our water using electric. And if we really have a surplus of power, we will switch our fridge from propane to electric so that we can just pinch every penny and not waste propane.
And we are looking so forward to the summertime when we're going to be using our air conditioner, and that's kind of like the ultimate test. How long can we actually run our air conditioner and not drain our batteries completely? So the way things are going, it might just be able to be using it like 4 or 5 hours a day and not having any worries about it. But we're really happy with the system. So the last thing we love about having a travel trailer is having a truck. And so this is actually what we lived in for about 5 months for the summer while we were waiting for that thing to be built. And up on top here is a CVT rooftop tent, as well as on the inside I put in an RV electrical system with a 100 amp hour lithium battery. It's got a 90 watt solar panel on the other side, and a 1,000-watt inverter. This thing is kind of like a little bit of a exploration mobile now with the Dometic cooler in the back, so we have cold beverages all the time when we get done hiking, and it's pretty amazing just having it.
The plan is to have the tent so that we can leave our base camp wherever it is, and then we can go out and do some exploring, overlanding / vehicle-based camping and travel, and then we'll spend a couple nights out here, come back to the luxuries of our main house, and then you have the best of both worlds. Having the truck, just generally speaking while RVing, gives us a whole new sense of freedom, because even though the van was really easy to drive, it still required a lot of work to switch it from sitting mode to driving mode, especially when you have too much stuff in there and you're moving stuff around.
And they're tall and they're heavy. Our van weighed 10,500 pounds, so
yeah,
a lot of weight.
I got honked at a lot because people see a Sprinter van and they just think you can zip around like an Amazon delivery man. Well, that's not the case when you have a lot of pounds from your cabinetry and your RV components. So it was like driving a submarine around town super slow.
So we got pretty lucky with the big chip shortage that was going on, and we ended up finding a 2021 Ford F350 diesel with the Tremor package. The thing we love about this most is that it can still tow like 15,000 pounds, as well as have some off-road capability. It's not the same as a Raptor, but big 35-inch tires, big off-road shocks. It's got a little bit of a lift compared to a regular F350. They put the Raptor running boards on the side, so it gives it nice big ground clearance. And this thing is definitely a beast. It just crawls up anything you put in front of it.
All right, now that you've learned what they like about the RV, let's find out what they don't like about this RV compared to the Airstream.
Well, we all know RVs are not perfect, and there's got to be some things that are wrong, as much as we love this. But I would say the number one thing is the interior choice of colors when we got it brand new. It was 50 shades of brown.
Puke brown. It was horrendous. So before we moved any of our belongings inside, we used that as a motivation to change it exactly how we wanted it before we even moved in. So we literally painted every single inch of wallpaper in here from brown to white. And that was quite a process. It took about 40 hours, but it was worth it. And then once that was done, we added in some special touches, such as the backsplash that you see here in the kitchen. That was very laborsome as well. That took about 30 hours, but it was cheap. It was like 120 bucks. So I think that this is like a piece of art in here, and I love it.
It's great to do, but on the flip side, like, you just bought a brand new RV. They're kind of expensive. And then you got to start doing these crazy things like painting the walls like that.
Yeah.
They just chose to put brown on everything, and it was way too much. So just lightening up the walls with that bright white did a huge thing for us.
Yes, we also did backsplash in the bathroom, and we did a little wallpaper behind our headboard, and then just little pops of color, again, just to break up the brown. So that was something that we were able to work with. There are still some brown drabs here and there, but we really do like, you know, the brown cabinetry. We like a nice solid cabinetry that's dark and rich, so no complaints with that.
And the second thing we don't like about our RV, speaking of cabinets, is some of the build quality and construction of these. So we came from an Airstream Interstate, and Airstream makes their own cabinetry, and it's just really high-end, very nice plywood with that great laminate veneer on there. And we actually had to pay extra to upgrade these cabinets here. These faces are nice hardwood, so these are good, but the rest of the actual material of it is kind of that fake cheap wood. We've had a little bit of issue with some of the veneer chipping and peeling already with only 5 months of use.
Even at the time of pickup, it was flaking then. And the upgrade that Aaron mentioned, we haven't said this yet, but this is the titanium version of the travel trailer. It comes in a Mountain Series standard, and then you can upgrade to the titanium. And a lot of the features that Aaron touched on do come as a result of that upgrade.
And so when you pay extra, all of these are hardwood, but the drawers are a fake wood. So they kind of like mixed and matched these a little bit. I think they're looking at changing that out, but that was just one thing that was a little bit disappointing.
So the number 3 thing that we dislike about this new RV is the refrigerator. And while we do love the larger size of it, we're not thrilled that it's your classic RV propane fridge. We would really, really like it to be fully electric. because this does hog down the propane. I know a lot of people tell us that it just drips and feeds on a little bit. I think that's really coming from a lot of part-timers or people that are not living in it. And since we're in here every single day, it hogs the propane, in our opinion.
Yeah, it definitely adds to the factor in the wintertime here where we're using the furnace, as well as the fridge being on 24/7, and the water heater if we're using that on propane. So propane is definitely something that gets used quite a bit, and with a big electrical system like we just showed you, there's no reason not to have a DC compressor style fridge. And one of the cool things about it, so this is 8 cubic feet, a DC fridge is a little bit deeper and it fits in the same cabinet, and it's a 10 cubic foot, so you actually gain an even bigger fridge, as well as not having a hole on the outside of your RV for this thing to vent. So it just would save us on propane. They're a little bit more efficient as well. They don't freeze your vegetables.
Yeah, that's a big thing that we would benefit from, is no more frozen eggs, no more frozen leafy greens, and a little bit more stable like temperatures on the inside.
Yeah, so we're starting to nitpick a little bit, but at least having an option for a DC fridge would be great for us, you know, just as a choice.
Our number 4 nitpick about this travel trailer is the wall placement in the bathroom. Now, don't get me wrong, this bathroom is amazing, and to me it feels like a spa. I'm happy to have a dry bath. I'm happy to have a great shower and this amazing space. And I didn't even think about this wall until after we had been living in here for about a month or two. When I get ready here, my arms, I'm right-handed, so my arm really is limited by this wall and this wall right here. So it's a little things, mostly when I'm like doing my hair or doing my makeup, things that are luxury for a lot of people to do. I just can't stress enough how grateful I am to have this space. But if I could change it, I would push this wall out just a little bit.
And the last point we're going to talk about, coming from that small 22-foot van, we didn't want to go too big and crazy at the time, so we kind of limited ourselves at this 26-foot travel trailer. And with that smaller, schmiddle space, we just could not fit a couch in here. So all we have is the bed and the table for our spaces of living, but we don't actually have like a couch to relax on.
And that's a good talking point of this studio style that you see here. At first, we didn't know how we'd feel about it being a studio style, open room concept, but we do really like that about it. So if we do need to lounge or have extra people over, we can use this as a sofa, but it would be really nice to have a designated seating area for specific lounging purposes.
If we ever upgrade in the future, we're going to be looking forward to a couple lazy boys.
So with not having a couch inside, do you guys find that you spend more time outside? Because that's a complaint I hear about people with big RVs, is they get too comfortable and then they never go outside again.
I mean, that's definitely true. We do spend a lot of time inside because it is like so cozy, and that's one great thing about vans and small RVs is that you live outside. And when we lived in our rooftop tent for 3 months in Colorado, like we were all outside, so that was a little bit too far on the extreme scale. But yeah, I would definitely say we spend a lot of time inside.
All right, so now that we're all hanging out on the couch, you guys have had 3 setups. So you had the 22-inch,
It felt like that sometimes.
you had the 22-foot Airstream van, so Vanlife. You now have the 26-foot travel trailer, and then you had a rooftop tent for 5 months?
Yeah, which we still have on the back of the truck.
Yeah. So with all of those setups, what is something you can do with each of the setups that you can't do with the others?
Okay, we'll start with the van, since that's chronologically first. The van was great for having like an adventure everywhere you went. You never had to pack a bag. So on exploring days where, say you go to a national park or you go anywhere in a city, you have everything with you. And that is such a relief, because if you ever pack for anything, it usually takes way too long to get your stuff together.
Yeah, making dinner at the end, watching a sunset like in a national park, we did that multiple times. Like vans are just so great for that. You have everything, not just your stuff, but you have
your kitchen and your bathroom.
Yeah, all those amenities where you just don't worry about anything. Like
all your food and snacks.
You get super comfortable with just, I can go anywhere and I can do anything. So that moves us into the truck, and the rooftop tent. And the great thing about that was we literally could go on the roads that the Airstream couldn't go on. People think vans can go a lot of places. You know, Airstream vans aren't made for off-roading at all. Although we did a little bit.
Their biggest limitation is the ground clearance.
Yeah.
Like, people don't realize that you're like this far off the ground. Yep. And it really limits where you can go. So
the truck and the rooftop tent just really gets you out farther into nature, where you can just literally be where almost nobody else is. And if you have the right setup, and you know, having a rooftop tent, it's at least more comfortable than sleeping on the ground.
Yeah.
And it gives you a little bit of security. So the worst thing is just the wind you got to watch out for.
Yeah, and talk about being outside more. During our months that we lived in that, we've never been outside more, ever. We were literally outside every minute of every day, unless we were sleeping or if it was raining and we were sitting in our truck. It was pretty tough, yeah. You lived and died by like the weather and like the sun, you know. We're brushing our teeth at 4:30. 4:30 as the sun's gone. And the mosquitoes and the bugs come out, and it's like, let's get up in the tent, and then you just go up and watch Netflix, and it's still great. And so then that brings us to the travel trailer here, and we'd probably say like the best thing that we can do with this that we can't do with the other two is that we can park this thing for 2 weeks. If we find that perfect BLM spot or wherever, we can literally live comfortable for 2 weeks and not worry about it. And that gives us the truck as the second vehicle to get out and go explore, and again, not worry about the roads and getting stuck, and you know, you can just kind of have that exploration type of day. Yeah, and one thing I have to point out about this current situation is it actually feels like a home. And we used to say this in the van a lot, where when we were in the van, even though it was a beautiful, expensive Airstream van, it still felt like you're in a van. You knew you were in a van. Like, there's no escaping it. Every minute of the day. No escaping it. And in here, you don't feel like you're in an RV. You feel like you're in a luxury studio apartment. And that's something that we were really craving after living in a van, and especially after living in a tent. So it feels like a mansion to us in here. So all three are completely different. We're glad that we tried all, and I think each one is like good in different aspects of life. Like if we had a house, I would love to have a 19-foot 4x4 Sprinter van that you could just pack up for the weekend and head out and just go have that awesome 3-4 days and do whatever. Yeah. But I would never want to go back to living in a van with two people. It's too tough. It's so weird, like how they're so different. Yeah. And there's always give and take to every single one. Like, you're never going to have a perfect setup. Right. So thank you so much, guys, for going through everything. You have a lot of experience with all the different setups. So if you want more information, if you want to see their vlogs of living all three different lifestyles, I will link to their channel up here. It's at Irene Iron Fitness. If you have any questions for them, feel free to reach out. They're happy to answer them as well. So thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye.